This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we elevate concepts of excellence in construction for individuals, customers, companies, and the industry as a whole by providing insights, solutions, and training. Please consider sharing these podcasts as you listen if you feel like they're valuable to anybody who might benefit from this information. This is Jason Schroeder, and our topic for today is called Worker Daily Huddles. So here's why you'll want to listen today. And I'm so excited for anyone listening to this podcast. This one thing, this concept, has brought me more success and joy than almost any other thing, any other concept that I'm going to explain in these podcasts. So let me ask you a few questions. Do you strive to create a culture on site? Are you failing to connect with your workers, but you really want to? Is the job site messy and unruly and the standards aren't where you want them? Or maybe they're okay for you, but the owner's not happy. Maybe somebody at corporate's not happy. You just haven't gotten where you want to be. Do people not really know what they're supposed to be doing on a daily basis? There's confusion, there's firefighting, and they don't really know what's happening on the project. If any of these things ring a bell, even for a little bit, or even slightly, this podcast today is for you. I have some answers for you, and you will, I promise you're going to find today really, really beneficial. You're going to love this, no charge. I mean, just absolutely amazing content today. So let me start out with a quote. And also a little bit of a disclaimer. So I don't usually do disclaimers, but I do want to just get you through this. So this is a longer quote, and I want you to listen to it pretty carefully. I was talking to my wife about this, and she was like, oh my gosh, that's so long. But it's really, really good. And it comes from a book called The Culture Code. And that book specifically talks about creating culture. So here you go. Belonging cues are behaviors that create safe connection in groups. They include, among others, proximity, eye contact, energy, mimicry, turn-taking, attention, body language, vocal pitch, consistency of emphasis, and whether everyone talks to everyone else in the group. So that's by Daniel Coyle, and it's in the book, The Culture Code. Absolutely amazing, game-changing book about how to create cultures on site. Let me tell you the quote one more time. So belonging cues are behaviors that create safe connection in groups. So let me pause there. That's what we're trying to do, create safe connection points in groups, especially with our workers, okay? So the things that will help you with that, they include, among others, proximity, eye contact, energy, mimicry, turn-taking, attention, body language, vocal pitch, consistency of emphasis, and whether everyone talks to everyone else in the group. So if that quote was a little bit confusing, I don't blame you. Probably a little bit confusing for me, to be perfectly honest with you. But here's the bottom line. We want people on our projects to have a sense of belonging. We want them to receive cues that are true and authentic and create behaviors that will make them feel safe and allow them to feel connection in the group on the project. So in order to do that, we have to create environments where there's proximity, meaning closeness, obviously not during COVID-19, but proximity where we're all in a group, eye contact where we can see each other, energy, you can sense somebody's energy in a group, in a meeting, in a huddle, okay? Turn taking where everyone's able to share, people are paying attention, they're able to see your body language if you're a field engineer, superintendent, or leader on the project, and vice versa. You're able to see the foreman, leadman, workers, trade partners' body language, vocal pitch, consistency of emphasis, meaning what things really matter to the leaders, to the workers, to everyone on site, and whether everyone talks to everyone else in the group. If you really want to create a social group, a sense of belonging, then we have to have people talking to each other. So one more time, belonging cues are behaviors that create safe connection in groups. They include, among others, proximity, eye contact, energy, mimicry, turn-taking, attention, body language, vocal pitch, consistency of emphasis, and whether everyone talks to everyone else in the group. And so that quote, again, from the Culture Code, has been amazing for me. Let me tell you a story. So we were at a research laboratory down in Tucson, Arizona, an absolutely fantastic project. We finished on time, on budget, customer satisfaction, great quality. It was a fantastic project, okay? So the basement went about 33 feet down. We have tiebacks and shoring. We have quite a bit of excavation. We're doing 100 trucks out of the hole a day. And the environment in that hole was high risk. So I'm not going to say dangerous because we did things to mitigate that, but the environment was definitely high risk, meaning you have heavy equipment, you have a designated walk lane down the ramp. There are a bunch of people down there doing soil nails, lagging, in some cases the shotcrete and scaffolding, concrete footings, the whole nine. So it's a big deal. And I really was just nervous about everybody being safe. So I said, hey, how about we have a whole huddle every morning and we talk about where everybody's going to be, and we have equipment operators, look at everyone else who's walking around. Let's hear the equipment operators so that we can, get their concerns met every day. Let's talk about where we are. Let's plan, what we're doing, and let's just get on the same page every day. So we started that, and they were called whole huddles, and they worked out really well. Obviously no injuries, no accidents. It was clean, well run, remarkably safe. We had a great time with it. And in the morning, there was just this connection that started to build between all of the workers. Everyone knew what was going on. There was more stability. There were less questions throughout the day because people knew what was going on. There was less contention. There was more of a team kind of environment. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And I honestly can tell you that I felt like we were being safe the entire time. I really did feel secure that we were being safe with all of the safety presence that we had, the morning huddles, everything was fantastic. So that was the first time that I had ever done that with workers. I mean, I'm used to huddling with foremen in the morning. That's what we learned in lean construction, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I did know about that, but huddling with workers, that was a new thing. So we started huddling with workers, and it was so good that I mentioned to the assistant superintendents, I was like, guys, we have to keep doing this. Like, this is a game changer. So it took a little bit of adapting and, problem solving here and there, but it was absolutely fantastic. We kept it up. Once we were done with the whole, we stopped calling them whole huddles and we started calling them morning worker huddles, and we would huddle all the workers on site all the way through. We did write it into their contracts so that it wasn't an issue from a financial standpoint. The trade partners were able to make sure that they were budgeting for that, although they don't need to because it's not going to cost additional money to know better what we're doing during the day. But in case they felt they needed to, it was all in their contracts. And we at the peak there, it didn't sound like a lot, but there were 380 people there at the peak, and we huddled every worker every morning, and I had a bullhorn and the team had bullhorns, and we would connect with those workers every day, and it was absolutely remarkable. That was one of the cleanest, safest job sites that I've ever been around. Absolutely fantastic. I loved that job. I still love that job. Contrast that with the experience that I've had when I was a finisher, and I was, an apprentice finisher on my way to journeyman. And when I would get to the project early in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, sometimes five. You get there, hit the ground running, just barely have enough time to grab your tools. You don't know what the finish is. You don't exactly know how much concrete's coming. You don't know what size edger to use around the windows. Just chaos, chaos, chaos. There's no toilet paper in the bathrooms. There's hardly any bathrooms around. You don't know where the fresh water is. I mean, it's just chaos. And I really feel like if when I was out working in the prisons, or not that building a prison, I wasn't in prison, but working out there as a finisher, finishing those tilt panels, and had a morning huddle, knew what was on site, where the water was, where the cranes were going to be, how much concrete, what were some of the quality specifications, what were some things to remember, and somebody asked me what I needed, I think that would have been stinking remarkable. But as it was, I was treated like an animal, and that got old really quickly, got burnt out. That's just been my experience. So I've always cared for the environment of the worker ever since that time because that's how I grew up. I didn't come up through college, through a degree, through that avenue, and I praise those who do, but I didn't come through that experience. So my opinion and my belief is that we have to really form a connection with our workers and do these huddles, and this is the best way that I've found to control a job site. So here are some principles. The ideal state is that a worker can come to the project and have a completely stable environment, know exactly what they're going to build, know where they're supposed to be working, know how to work safely on the project, know exactly how to get to where they're going, have a clean, safe, stable environment with the right materials, the right information. I mean, have such a stable environment that it was kind of boring. I mean, this is how I kind of imagine success is that a worker goes home and, talks to her husband, or he talks to his wife, and, she says, how was your day? And the answer is, well, I enjoyed putting in the work because it's good quality work, but it was kind of boring. I mean, there's no firefighting, there was no, treasure hunts, there wasn't any drama, nobody got hurt. These things it was just kind of normal everyday work. It was non-eventful. I mean, that to me is the ideal situation on our projects. If we can create that kind of environment where we have stability for the worker, then I think we're winning. And so I've heard it once said that we discomfort the leaders, meaning sometimes when leadmen or foremen talk to me and they're like, I don't really like these meetings, I don't like huddles, I don't like doing these things. This is such an inconvenience. It's wasting my time. I constantly relate the fact that we do those things that are uncomfortable so that we can comfort the workers. We do those things that are uncomfortable so we can comfort the workers. That's the point. I do love foremen. I do love leadmen. I do love field engineer supers, but I don't care if we are optimizing their time. I want to optimize the time of the worker. They're the ones that make us money. They're the ones that are the skilled craft. They're the ones that know that they're what they're doing. And like I said, I don't even have to go any farther than they're the ones that make us money. I personally, as a management person on site, don't make any money. Okay, you might get some labor gains from my hourly rate, so maybe I make a little bit of money, but I'm not putting in work. I'm not the one that's creating revenue for the project. I'm not the one that is putting in work and making the money. The workers are. And so it is my job to create an environment where they can be successful, where they can be productive, where they can be safe. And so that's really the goal of where we're headed here. And so these huddles do that. So if it seems a little bit inconvenient, fine, but it's not inconvenient for the workers when they know exactly what's going on. So we have to get communication all the way to the builders. We have to get communication all the way to the workers. All throughout this industry, I've been taught, throughout my entire career, you have your master schedule, you print out a 3-week, you have your plan, you talk to the foreman. We stop short in getting that information to the worker, and that's a shame because we can't just trust that it's getting to the worker. I'll tell you, just as a quick side note, one of the main benefits of doing the worker huddles is that you get the communication all the way to the workers. If you trust the foreman, 25%, 50% of that information will get passed along. And when it does, it won't be the same thing. It'll be just like the telephone game when you play that at, team building events where you send down the line one message and by the time it's on the other end, it's completely different. So having those worker huddles is crucial to get the information all the way to the people that are building the project because they need to know what to build. So the concept here is that we need to see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. That's a lean concept that I learned from Lean Core training, fantastic training. I'm going to say it again. See as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. We have to create that social group in the morning. We have to be doing these worker huddles so that we can all be on the same page. In fact, this works so well that at the end of the last project that I tried this on as the lead superintendent, there were about 5 instances where the owner came and said, Jason, this is remarkable. I was eating, or the architect was eating cat shoes down in the basement. One of the workers came over and gently said, hey, y'all, I don't know who you're with, but we're not allowed to have food. This isn't what we do on this job site. We need to follow the rules. Another time it was with safety glasses. Another time it was when one of the inspectors wasn't wearing vests. And there were a couple more. And it had really become this job site culture where everybody saw as a group, knew as a group, and acted as a group because we created that culture, that proximity. Everyone was taught every day. So now let's talk about proximity. The big thing here is to remember that social groups really do form around proximity. Whoever you're closest with, whoever you can relate more with, whoever has better rapport, wherever you fit in, that's going to be your social group. What naturally happens on job sites is that this contractor, this trade partner over here will have its own social group, or maybe the laborers have their own social group, or maybe this little clique over here does, and that clique, and the office is separate, and nobody's on the same page. What happens is they're with people that are more like them, so they have rapport, they're closer to them, they talk to them all the time, and so they're not talking to you, they're not close to you, so they form different factions, differing opinions, they demonize each other, and it becomes like Lord of the Flies out there on the job site, and nobody's on the same page. So don't underestimate the concept of proximity and the need for it. If you can get that group together in the mornings and talk to everybody and have them form a connection with you through proximity, you can really get one social group instead of 5, 6, 7, 8, or however many you would normally have on the project. It's absolutely fantastic. It works every time that I've ever used it, and it's key. It's absolutely key to getting everybody on the same page. Now, these morning huddles are crucial to creating operational excellence. So here's how the system kind of works all together, and I'll talk about these in future podcasts. But if you have everyone bought in from a contractual standpoint on how you're going to run the job, you have a really good plan from a plan and schedule standpoint, you have good phasing, you have good logistics, you know how you're going to build the job, and you have plenty of time. Then you need to focus on winning over the workforce and treating them like human beings and asking their opinions and leveling out the hierarchy structure on the job site, making people feel equal, making people feel heard. Then you can go into zero tolerance systems, which will probably be the next podcast that I talk about. And then all you have to do is sustain the environment. And if you do those things, you can really run a remarkably excellent project site. Okay. And so all through there, the worker huddle is crucial because here's when it doesn't work. You're not going to have a good worker huddle if you don't treat the craft right. You're not going to have a good worker huddle if you didn't buy out the contracts properly, if you didn't get that money, that time, that 15 minutes in the morning in the contract. You're not going to have a very successful morning huddle if everyone's just allowed to do whatever they want to do and there's no zero tolerance, there's no high expectations on the job site. And it's not going to work very well unless you have systems that will sustain that environment. So I just want to say that one more time. The worker huddle is key, but you have to have contracts in place, a good plan, winning over the workforce, zero tolerance, and you have to sustain that environment. So if you create this social group, you're really trying to get everybody to see as you do. You're going to take time to teach. You're going to take time to teach about lean concepts. You're going to take time to talk about why you do things on the job, what the rules are there for. You're going to talk about specific safety topics every day. You're going to take time to really elevate that group, to provide training, to provide context, and to improve the lives of those that are there on your site. Okay. One of the main things that I've enjoyed is explaining the context of the rules. So, for instance, like on my jobs, I'm zero tolerance when it comes to safety, and I'm zero tolerance when it comes to cleanliness and deliveries. And so, I'll get up there in the morning, and a couple of the workers are like all pissed off at me, and their comment is, "Well, you sent my delivery away yesterday. I don't like that. You guys are being mean." And so I'm like, hey, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate the opportunity to provide context there. And so I'll take out my wallet and I'll say, okay, is it ethical for you to come over here and steal a couple $100 bills from my wallet? They're like, no, well, that's silly. And I say, okay, well, let's look at it like this. So if you have the electrician over there with 8 guys, they're making 55, 70 bucks an hour burden labor, okay? And they're waiting for their delivery. It's on time. And you cut in there ahead of them. And now you've wasted their time for an hour and a half. And you do the math on how much money you've wasted. You've literally just gone over to the electrician and you've taken their wallet out of their pocket and you've stolen a couple of $100 bills. You've just stolen money from him. Why is it okay for you to go over there and interrupt that workflow and cost that contractor a bunch of money, but it's not okay for you to go over there and steal his wallet and take a bunch of $100 bills? And then the light bulbs start to go on and it starts to click and they're like, you know what? I do agree with that. And I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me. And I would want to, like, if I had a delivery scheduled, I would want to be treated with respect. And then they start to really get these concepts. So if you explain that context, it can be absolutely remarkable. The other thing is you're going to create a feedback loop for your project. So I teach that every superintendent should be in the schedule every day, should be studying the drawings for 30 minutes every day, and should be doing a reflection walk. And if that superintendent does a reflection walk in the afternoon when people are cleaning or after, or when everybody's gone home, you've got lists. You're like, okay, level 3 area A is a little dirty. You know, level 4 south side, we need handrail picked up, or whatever you find. If you go do those observations, send out those observations, send out those text messages, send them or do whatever you want. Then the next morning you can say, all right, I did a walk, everybody. I need crew number such and such to help on level 3A. I need crew such and such to help on level 4. And it's a feedback loop. The other thing is if your owner tells you something that, hey, we have to be more respectful of the neighbor, or there's a fire alarm test the next day or whatever, you can tell that to the workers that day and all be on the same page. It's absolutely remarkable. Okay, so those are some principles. So here's the current situation. Typically, right now in our industry, we don't get water to the end of the row. We don't get the information to the workers who need it most. And one prime example is we always talk about these wonderful quality programs. We got the 6-step quality process, and we copied it from the Corps of Engineers, and we do this, and we do a pre-install, and we do a preparatory meeting, blah, 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 blah. And it never gets to the end of the work, and I'm like, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Okay, what we do when we don't involve the workers, when we don't involve the last planners, and when we don't do these huddles and inform the workers every day, and we're not there getting the information to the end of the row to the actual builders, it's kind of like this. It's like you're coaching a little league football team, okay, or any football team for that matter, and you're the coach, and you take the leaders, so maybe the quarterback or one or two other positions, and you're like, here's the master plan of how we're going to win the game, okay, and here are some plays, and I'm not going to meet with you from now until game day. You guys just go figure it out. And while you're there, on playing the game on game day, I'm not going to coach. So all I'm going to do is spend, once a week with you. I'm going to go over plays. I'm going to go over my vision. And then you guys, as players, you guys got it. You guys don't need me there on game day. You don't need my coaching. You're good to go. Now, would you coach your kids, little league that way? Would you coach your kids' football league that way? Would any professional coach their team that way? Absolutely not. You're talking like tape reviews. You're talking about master strategy. You're talking about training. You're talking about practices. You're talking about two-a-days. You're talking about like being with your players all the time, being with your players on game day, and being with them throughout the day in the game. That's how you coach. So if we wouldn't coach a football team that way, why would we run $150 million project that way and not talk to our players during the game? It just doesn't make any sense. We have to be out there coaching all the time, and we have to care. That's the worker huddle. At a minimum, that's going to win the game. Okay. So here are some instructions. How do you run a morning huddle? Get a set time. All the workers come to a set location. You can spread them out if you have COVID-19. You have to get a megaphone. Just get that out of your head. You're not going to be doing it without a megaphone. Get a megaphone and have something to talk about every day. Make it worth their while. Be engaging. Make sure that you're communicating key things, and I'll go over an agenda in a minute. Now, I have seen this not work. If you're a jerk, this ain't going to work. And if you're a wimp, this ain't going to work. But if you're a good guy or gal that's going to connect, and you're not a jerk and you're not a wimp, but you're authoritative and you can garner some respect, this is going to be amazing. Okay, so let me take you through a possible agenda. And this is where this gets remarkable. And if you want this agenda, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll give you my phone number at the end of this podcast. I'll send it to you, whatever you want. I've created this as I've done these huddles continuously. So first thing you're going to want to do is do a shout out, positive praise every time. The next thing, and this is important, if you remember anything about worker huddles, you have to do this. You have to request feedback from the workers. You have to ask them what you can do better. You have to ask them what they need. You have to make them feel listened to first. In the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey says if somebody doesn't feel listened to, it's like the oxygen left the room. Nobody can do anything until the oxygen's back. Meaning, like, if you can't breathe, you're not going to sit there and listen to somebody. You're going to go find out how to breathe, and then you can get to step B. That's the same thing with listening. If somebody doesn't feel listened to, it's like the oxygen just got sucked out of the room. So you have to make sure that you listen to them. Then I recommend and I'll go through these quickly, and if you ever need support, I can help you out with this. Review the plan for the day. Review the safety focus for the day. Go over any safety observations. Are there any owner items that you need to repeat for the day? Reiterate the need for cleanliness and organization. Ask anyone if they need any special permits like dig permits or hot work permits. Talk about the deliveries, the ones that matter to everybody. Talk about the weather for the day. Are there any cranes or restricted areas? Do a little training segment. Spend a minute doing some kind of lean training. And then here's the key part. Encourage the crews to go spend their 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes of filling out their PTPs, 5S'ing their site, preparing for the day, and getting ready to go. If you follow this agenda, and if you keep it to 5, 10 minutes, maximum 15, you can really get some good buy-in, and you can really create that social group. You can make people feel listened to. And the most important thing, the people that really know how that job's going will give you feedback, and you can improve along the way. And that's all about continuous improvement. Again, my definition of lean is respect for people, stable environments, and continuous improvement. I have never found a way to stabilize a project in the field without doing worker huddles. They're absolutely amazing. So here's an invitation. Why not start? Again, if you're not a jerk and you're not a wimp and you can connect with people and you're not afraid to talk and you don't find it exhausting, why not start tomorrow? And then also, why not go get the summary on Blinkist or download the summary or read the book, The Culture Code, and find out for yourself. If you disagree with me at all on the proximity principle, on how to create cultures, on the fact that we need to get social groups together, read the book, find out for yourself. So there's a challenge for you. There's an invitation. So quick summary. Get people contractually bought into the systems you're going to implement, into worker huddles. Start doing worker huddles right away. Form a connection, improve from there, and use it as a vehicle to scale project excellence and stick with it. There's one thing that I want to caution you about. Often when implementing these with people, with companies, or job sites, I'll get feedback. They're like, I'm doing the worker huddles, Jason, but the job's clean and it's organized and it gets a little bit boring. The worker huddles in the morning get a little boring. The afternoon foreman huddles get a little bit boring. We just don't have a lot to talk about continuously. It's not as exciting as it was in the beginning. I'm thinking about getting rid of them. And just guess, and so when they do, and I've had a couple of people do that, just guess what happens. You've guessed it. Their project starts to go back into a sense of chaos. The boringness is good. The stability is good. The fact that you don't have a lot of drama on your side is good. Again, I measure the effectiveness of a leader based on whether or not they can leave the job site and it still runs without them. I don't care about the superintendents that are needed all the time, have to be on the job, so busy, answering phone calls, blah, 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 blah. That type of superintendent is gone. Like, they are no longer going to succeed in this industry. Superintendents that can create stability and can run that job without having to always be there, that's the measure of excellence. That means they've created an environment that is sustainable. And so if you're in these huddles and you're like, hey, these are pretty routine. It's routine because you've stabilized the site. It's routine because you're planning. It's routine because you're getting rid of variation. It's routine because you're getting rid of waste. It's routine because you're building habits. It's routine because it's working. So don't start to give up on these things once they get a little boring, because that's the point. As long as somebody can take pride and enjoyment and fulfillment out of the work they put in place, everything else should be pretty stable and so uneventful that they can go home and say, I enjoyed my job today. I enjoyed the people that were around me, but it was pretty uneventful. There weren't any accidents. There weren't any trouble. There wasn't any treasure hunts. There wasn't any drama. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. Worker huddles, implementing this has been one of the single most impactful thing that I've ever done in my career, and I hope it helps. So please message me on LinkedIn if you want to request a topic, to do an interview, to give feedback, or to, provide critiques. You can always text me at 602-571-8987 or give me a call. And please share these podcasts. We want to get the message out, because if we do these worker huddles, I'm telling you, it's going to be a game changer. Could you imagine if every job, everybody in this industry started doing this, started respecting the worker, started lining them out, and we created that stability in construction? I'm talking that would be amazing. So until we meet again, I hope you accept my challenge. I hope that this is as helpful and as impactful to you as it is me. But until then, like I said, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're wildly successful. I hope we're making a difference out there. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.